Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus channel. Windmills remain one of the most important factors in the green energy revolution. And though costs dictate that most wind farms be installed on land, offshore windmills are actually capable of producing much more electrical per windmill. This is due to the fact that wind blows unencumbered on the ocean, thus turning the turbines more consistently and at faster speeds. Of course, installing a 400 to 800 foot tall windmill in the middle of the ocean poses several challenges. Over the years, many solutions have been explored, yet even with the most advanced technology available, the process remains immensely difficult. The undisputed leader in offshore wind farm development is the United Kingdom. Though the UK has hundreds of turbines spread across 11 wind farms, this is the first time a semi-submersible floating wind turbine has been installed. The project began in Aberdeen, Scotland, and was dubbed the Kincardine Project. Contributing to the design and installation of the new farm were Bourbon Subsea, a French shipping company, and Vrijhof, a mooring specialist based in the Netherlands. The operation began with the arrival of the tripod-style floater. After being delivered to Edinburgh, it must go to another port where the turbine can be installed. The primary benefit of a semi-submersible platform is that it can be towed and moored virtually anywhere, whereas most other turbines must stay at their original location. It's also much less expensive than previously used mooring methods. The installation requires the use of a special vessel. This ship arrived at the site before the platform in order to install 4 large steel anchors on the seafloor. The entire turbine system is then towed out to the installed mooring lines, which are floating on the surface. Once maneuvered into position, the moorings can be attached, and the windmill is ready to produce energy. In the Baltic Sea between Germany and Sweden sits the Wikinger offshore wind farm. These turbines are installed directly atop large steel pylons. Though they are immobile, they are also more stable than some other types of windmills. In order to handle the mid-sea installation, contractor Iberdrola uses a special type of vessel known as a jack-up ship. Once loaded with all of the necessary components, the ship can sail to the site and then deploy a series of legs, which make contact with the seafloor and raise the ship up by several feet. This allows the installation to take place without the ship being subject to waves and wind. And since the process doesn't require the construction of a permanent or temporary installation platform, it can save the installing company millions of dollars. Windmills have been around for hundreds of years. By harnessing wind, they are able to power simple motors and other machines directly. Turbines are different. Their primary goal is to convert the wind's kinetic energy into electricity, which can be stored and later distributed to homes and businesses. For nearly 100 years, turbines have been used in one way or another. However, the biggest advances in turbine technology have only occurred in the past decade or so. One of the companies on the front line of this technology is General Electric Company, based in the United States. The company is not only the leading installer of turbines in the U.S., but a major manufacturer as well. At the company's Pensacola Renewable Plant, around 600 employees create all the components necessary to make some of the most advanced turbines in existence. This is accomplished via a massive assembly line, featuring both human teams and robotic assembly units. Using this system, the team can produce more than 100 wind turbine assemblies per week. Secondary to the assemblies that convert the wind energy into electricity, the most important part of the wind turbine is the turbine blades. Unlike traditional windmill blades, these blades incorporate millions of dollars worth of advanced technology. The first step in the production process is the layup of the half shells of the blades, which include both the outer and inner glass fiber layers. Next, the prefabricated spar cap, considered the blade's backbone, is positioned in the center. This is followed by a process in which the turbine blade halves are wrapped with a special resin. This is done with a unique vacuum process. The resin is then cured, which generates heat that must be carefully measured using thermal imaging. Finally, a two-compound adhesive is applied. This is what will hold the two sections of the blade together. This paste is then cured until a permanent seal is established. Finally, the finished blade is removed from the mold and fitted with a bolt connection, which will hold it to the hub. Whether on land or in the middle of the ocean, wind turbines are quite an impressive sight. Still, floating wind farms remain relatively new and innovative. To prove the concept, Equinor, the Norwegian company behind the first floating wind farm, first constructed a scale design as well as a number of computer models. The company's floating turbines are tethered to the seafloor, but they're held in place by a single weighted pylon. Those are directly beneath the windmill itself. Rather than use traditional anchors, Equinor decided to utilize suction anchors instead. These are essentially 50-foot tall tubes that have water pumped out of them to create negative pressure. The base of the floating turbine structure is over 42 feet in diameter and 270 feet high, weighing 2,000 tons. All of these components were fabricated in different countries, but were brought together for installation off the coast of Scotland. Once upended, the substructures are ballasted with 5,000 tons of iron. This creates a solid floating platform atop which the massive turbines can be installed using heavy lifting cranes. The average offshore wind turbine blade measures more than 170 feet long. The largest blades currently in existence are about 351 feet long, about the size of a football field. Though the increased size boosts their energy production capabilities, it makes transporting the blades extremely difficult. In many cases, the solution has been to move the blades by ship. Using special flat-top cargo ships, the prefabricated blades can be transported by the hundreds using a simple stacking process. Since the blades are quite fragile, it's crucial that they be carefully secured throughout the journey. Throughout the journey from factory to farm, multiple boats of varying sizes can be used. In many cases, land-based wind farms are located in remote areas that can be hard to access. And since the wind blows stronger when unencumbered by buildings and natural structures, it's not uncommon for these farms to be located atop hills or in the middle of open prairies. In order to deliver them to their final destination, many companies have designed specialized trucks capable of extending to several hundred feet long. Others have developed trucks that can separate completely, leaving only an electrical cable between the two halves. The rear of these trucks is self-driving, which enables the logistics companies to transport windmill blades much more easily. That's not to say that there aren't challenges. After all, it can be extremely difficult for even a self-driving truck to take turns with several 100-foot-long turbine blades attached. Even so, these trucks have revolutionized the market and made it possible for windmills to go places they've never gone before. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.